Do you often wonder how to handle that post-game assessment? Hi, I'm Dr. Patrick Cohn, and in this podcast, I'm going to discuss what you should do post-game to improve your confidence. You're watching Sessions with Doc. Here's the question I received from Jack. Jack said, do you have any tips or a program for post-game assessment, whether you win or lose the game? I want to know how to evaluate my performance. I'm trying to identify the good parts and also the bad parts of my game that need to improve. What should I do after a game for the best assessment? Jack, thanks for your question. As a matter of fact, I work with athletes on this quite a bit to help them improve their confidence. Most of the time when I work with critical or perfectionist athletes, they tend to criticize themselves, beat themselves up, focus only on their shortcomings, think about the mistakes they made in the game. And guess what? What's going to happen to your confidence if you're that critical after a game? Super common for perfectionist athletes because they think that's the route to getting better if they focus on their shortcomings and the mistakes. It's not. The ideal is to grow confidence from game to game, practice to practice. I usually tell my athletes, you just want to think about getting 1% better every day and not worrying about being perfect out there. Okay, so to your question, what do you do in your post-game assessment? It depends a little bit on the sport, of course, but I'm going to talk generally about some things that you can do. Step one is to ask yourself, what did I do well today? Because most athletes don't do that. They go right to the mistakes, as I've stated. So ask yourself, what are two things that I did well today in the game or my performance? And maybe relive those plays in your mind, for example. Visualize them. See yourself doing it in the future. That's great for confidence to lock in those feelings that you had when you made some good plays out there. That's step one. Step two now is to think about what you want to improve. Now that's much different than focusing on your shortcomings and what you did wrong. I may be splitting hairs there a little bit, but you want to focus on and do an honest assessment of your game, an objective assessment of your game. Maybe look at stats, for example, and then decide what you want to improve in the next week of practice. We call that having a growth perspective about your performance. That's way, way, way better than you beating yourself up after the game. That growth perspective would include two objectives that you want to work on in your next week of practice. And remember, it's about getting 1% better each day in your practice. Next, a lot of athletes get stuck on the game. They take it home with them. They feel bad about their performance if they didn't win. Sometimes they'll feel good about themselves if they won. Well, we call that attaching your performance to yourself or to your self-esteem or to your person. And that's problematic. So if you didn't perform well and you want to go hide under a rock, you don't want to talk to anyone, it affects you for a full evening or affects you till the next day. Or some athletes will say it affects them to the next game. That's problematic in my world because, once again, you're defining yourself through your sports performance and feeling bad about that game. So make sure that you leave the game on the field. Make sure you leave the game on the court or on the course, whatever your sport may be. Well, what do I mean by that? Transition. Transition into other roles of your life. Transition into the friend. Transition into the student, into that business person. Whatever other roles that you have, you want to transition fully into those other roles. Get out of the role of athlete. That just happened. That's in the past. Move on to other roles in your life. Hope that was helpful. If you want help with your performance or your mental game, please visit us at peaksports.com. I've been on the web since 1996, been out there for a long time. And click on our coaching programs, review those, and you can contact us on those pages as well. And we can give you some details about the coaching programs, which are very comprehensive. And we've had a lot of success helping athletes over the years, especially perfectionist athletes as well. All right. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.